What a great winter this has been. Yes, I say that despite a fair share of hardship and anxiety, this season has been great. For why should I blame my own problems on this time? The cold period that already gets a bad enough rap from so many. Winter, I've had my troubles, but you have been beautiful.
Hey, so I'm out on a walk in the woods, and this spot is really only like, I want to say 10 minutes away from where my house is, but, I mean, it's pretty fantastic, and we so rarely get snow like this in Western Washington, so I am really excited. My hands are freezing, but I've been trying to take like a lot of photos and video and doing my best to get things in focus. But mostly just really happy about this, and I don't want to yell because someone's going to hear me talking, but very excited. Oh, and I have to turn the camera off with my nose so it looks like this. Uh-oh, there's people. There's people over there. We're gonna run. Okay. Well, blessed solstice, everyone. I am sitting here by the window watching the snow gust around in the wind and sparkle and shimmer, and there are so many birds outside my house. I've got my camera set up right here. You can't see it, but right here. And it's just slowly watching the sun go down on the shortest day of the year and the longest night. And, you know, it's not like I can see an amazing sunset view or anything. It's just, it feels significant, and sometimes capturing things makes them feel like you're gonna, I don't know, like you're paying more respect to them, which isn't really true, but I'm trying my best with this one, because it is important. This is an important day. This is a feast day. This is a celebration, regardless of how you feel about darkness versus light. Like, this is an important time of the year, and I am having the best day. I worked a bit this morning, and after that styled my hair and got dressed up like a princess. I'm still like a little bit dressed like that, and went and did a photo shoot with my husband, where he just took a bunch of like winter goddess ice princess pictures of me, and I froze my hands off. They're still okay. But it's just a really good day, and it is so beautiful, and I love snow, and I wish we got more, and I love this. I love this so much. Blessed solstice, everyone. Even though it's going to be after the solstice when you see this, I guarantee it.
Through the long, dark nights of this year, I committed to coziness and incorporating hygge into my home and lifestyle. This time around the sun, I feel like I was more acclimated to the feeling of cold on my skin. No, still not up to ice baths or winter swimming, but sometimes I run the very cold tap water over my hands and arms, and that still counts, right? This season, I was also struck by how often I was able to appreciate the beauty of ice. I hadn't realized that was something I was missing in my old city apartment. There were so many forest walks where I saw little icicles building in the creeks or frost covering the mosses. One of my new favorite paths leads to a quiet pond surrounded by cottonwood trees and so much moss, where I've seen birds skitter across the frozen surface as they go to gather in the shallow melted areas. And of course, there's always that diamond-like shimmer that coats everything when the mist freezes, giving the pile of autumn leaves on the ground a colorful, jewel-like effect. The beautiful cold mornings have been a welcome companion for the start of my days. Almost every morning, I wake up, open the blinds, and pull back the curtains and say, "Oh, it's nice out today," whether it be sunshine or clouds, dry or pouring rain. Our winter routine was one of contentment. Mundane work to start, followed by a pleasant break for coffee and breakfast together.
Oh no!
I'd finish my day job work and then move on to personal projects like editing photos and video, recording vocals, producing ambient music, and lots of painting. Yes, despite the troubles January brought us for a year full of change, it has also been the month I decided to paint much more often. Like so many others, I've decided to start an Etsy shop for pieces of original artwork and prints. I know it's a very saturated market, but I love painting. I'm going to try to make it a sustainable part of my life, which is only possible if it provides some kind of income. Because in early January, my main long-term work project for my day job finished up, and my hours have been much reduced. Not long after that, the company my husband worked for had been hemorrhaging money and laid off the majority of their workforce, Cullen included. We were facing a frightening and unwelcome change. Still are, truth be told. But though the anxiety still remains, I have begun to see this as a pivot for the better. One that, in the future, will set us up much more easily for all the big things we want from life in the next year or two. That change, in combination with some saddening news about the health of a beloved family member, made January quite challenging for us. But this month was also momentous for me, as it contained the birthday of an incredibly significant project of mine. On January 13th, my second studio album, Skybound, released into this world, available for listening on all streaming platforms. If you've kept up with me in any way over the last year, you've probably heard me bring up this project over and over again. The Kickstarter to fund it, the recording and mixing process, all the tiny details that kept me up for too many nights, and the stress I felt leading up to the release, knowing that its success depended on me and me alone. But despite all that, January 13th was a day of celebration. This music, which you're listening to right now, is finally out in the world, and that marked both an ending and a beginning for me. How wonderful it felt to finally see the close of a long and intense project that I cared deeply for. And equally wonderful is the fact that so many can now hear this music for the first time. I'm envious of the ability to hear this with fresh ears. For many months, this album was the most important thing I was doing in my life. And after it came out, life just went on around it.
From the waters as they run.
I've been having sit back. A very repetitive internal conversation of this is the most beautiful, warm January day, and it feels like April, and that feels really disturbing that it's this warm right now. It shouldn't be this warm, but I'm trying to drop the idea of should or shouldn't and just enjoy it as it is, because this is really, really lovely. I mean, look at this. Like sunshine. And it's so good.
Slowly, I was able to relax again. I took some long walks, drank coffee in the morning, and pet my cat in the sunny window. I made bread, obsessed over a new way of making eggs, lit candles, shared meals. I spent lots of time in the forest. I sang and sang and sang. And the hard things got a little easier. See you soon, friends.